Welcome to the My Creative Days podcast, where we will talk about all things DIY, home decor, decorating tips, and creating a beautiful home on a budget. I am hoping our time together will spark a creative idea, help you plan your next DIY, or inspire you to finally tackle that project you keep putting off. Grab your favorite cup of motivation and let's chat. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. Today I'm going to talk about something that I have actually struggled with a lot in the past, and through doing what I do, it's helped a lot. And it's something that I do help other people that are trying to learn how to grow a business or just learn how to create an audience and get in front of an audience. So I thought I would share some of the things in this podcast today. So today I want to talk about embracing imperfection and letting go of perfectionism. So I've dealt with this all my life. My mom now it's so funny because she said, I always knew you had a little OCD and you were a little like everything had to be in order. And then, all these things that are making sense now. And my sister, she noticed certain things about her and it's like, yes, that fits, right? So it's something that, I can pinpoint and I can see it throughout. I mean, even when I was little, I say this to my kids and my kids are like, Mom, oh my gosh, were you a nerd or what? But I enjoyed one thing that I used to do when I was little is I would copy out of encyclopedias. I think I've shared this here on the podcast, but I would copy out of encyclopedias about animals. And I would have notebooks and notebooks on what I was copying. I would literally just sit down and I would write it. If the handwriting wasn't good enough, I would start all over. Then in like high school and college, I would, take notes during class. I was trying to get it all done and get it all in. And then I would come home at night and I would rewrite it all and make sure it's all organized and it looked a lot better. Like I would organize and reorganize my room until it was perfect. Like there's just so many things throughout my life, even when our kids were little. And so it's something that I deal with and have dealt with for as long as I can remember. And it's not until it's so funny because it's when I started coaching and like helping other people, grow a furniture flipping business, or, if I sit down with somebody like personally that I know that wants to maybe start an Instagram page or something and they want to learn something. And it's me teaching other people that I'm like, I wish I had somebody to tell me this. And it's when I actually see it through somebody else going through it or somebody else trying to do these things that it's like, wait a minute. It's really helped me as I'm helping them. I know that sounds weird, but it really, really, really is exactly what it is. And now I like to, now that we live in a world that's full of social media and we're constantly, consuming, people's lives and inside their homes and what they're wearing and, what they're doing and what they're buying, how much money they make, whatever it is, we're in constant. And hopefully you're not. Hopefully you can consume that and it doesn't bother you at all. But I know for a lot of people, you are constantly comparing yourself and seeing yourself, your life, your house, your clothes, your money as less than. It's not perfect. And I'm here to tell you, number one, this is kind of a whole side thing. Everything you're seeing on social media is 3 seconds, 30 seconds, even if it's a 10-minute video of somebody's life. You are not seeing the whole thing. And so you're seeing the perfect reel. It's like when you're on Facebook, I don't understand. Certain people will only post when it's perfect. When, you never see any process or you never see any, less than perfect, but it's only when the kids win the game. It's only when there's an award won. There's a championship won. There's a new house being bought. That's the only time they post. That is the highlight reel, especially on Facebook. If it's people that you know personally, you're like, wait, there's a lot of other things going on. But the only time they're posting, it's when it's the best of the best, the perfect moments, right? And that's a lot when you're on Instagram, TikTok, whatever. So just remember that when you're consuming that content that it's you're seeing the perfect, and that's not how real life is. So, first of all, what is perfectionism? So, it is the belief that anything less than perfect is unacceptable. And I used to struggle with this so hard, especially in things like, well, after we got married and like had kids, in our home, and in like if we were entertaining or had people over. I wanted to have all the food, it all to be perfect, it all to taste perfect, it all to be set up right. I wanted the house perfectly clean, the house perfectly decorated. Like I like struggled with that, but I enjoyed the process too, which is so weird. Like I enjoy cleaning. I love organizing. I love, putting food together and entertain. Now I've been going through a cooking struggle. I'll tell you that for sure. But I always enjoyed that. And I don't know if it's because I enjoyed the whole, leading up to it, the cleaning, the organizing. And I did a whole podcast about the whole struggles of, control. And that's why those things I like those things. But so you can check out that podcast. But today we're talking about perfectionism. It's a constant drive to achieve flawless results in whatever it is, your work, your personal life, your home, your appearance, whatever it is. But here it is. It's unattainable. There is no such thing as perfect. Nothing is perfect. So basically, there's a couple of negative effects. And what your, fear of failure is, you avoid this is so speaks to me. You avoid taking risks because trying new things, you're not going to be perfect at them. You're not going to know what you're doing, and you're not going to be the one that's going to be out there looking like a fool, or, whatever it is. It may not be something where you're in front of other people, but you're not going to be the one that's going to fail completely and not do it perfectly. So you just won't try it out and it's so sad because you miss out on so much. The pressure to get things perfect can lead to procrastination. This is one thing that I never really, procrastination it drives me absolutely crazy. And I have people in my life that are procrastinators, and it's on the simplest things. And I'm like, just get it done. We don't have to talk about it anymore. Just get it done. Just like write the email, run the errand or whatever it is. It's like, just get it done. Why are we waiting 3 days? So that has never been my thing. But if you feel like you can't do it perfect, you're going to procrastinate. And this will show up in a lot of people inside like my academy, or when I'm coaching people. They won't start something. They won't start an Instagram page, or they won't get in front of the camera because they're afraid they're not going to be perfect. They're not going to know how they look. They're not going to like how they talk. And that goes into this next one of self-criticism. But you're your harshest critic, and I'm telling you, do it. And this is my biggest message. Done is better than perfect. And I put out content that is not perfect. And I'll tell you this, people relate to that so much better than perfect content, produced content that's from like a large, you've got 15 people behind the camera, and you've got perfect lights, and that isn't real life. And when you're trying to connect with somebody, if you want to be real and you want to show the real, what goes into it, or this all depends on what you're trying to do. But I get so much more feedback and so much more positive feedback when it is real and raw. And that's, they learn better. They get to see it actually not being done perfectly, or when something's, messes up, or that's just it's more realistic. And so I always tell people, done is better than perfect. And the more you do it, the more perfect you'll be at it. Which it's never perfection, right? Because it's never going to be, but you have to keep doing it. Impaired relationships. So the need to be perfect can strain relationships. You may have unrealistic expectations of others, and you may be overly critical. This may show up in a work relationship or a personal relationship, but just make sure that you're just keeping that part in check. It's about you. It's not about them. We need to start embracing imperfection. And I think we need to redefine success, right? Instead of aiming for it being perfect, you need to aim at the progress and the personal growth. So inside my academy, I will tell you, just do a 10-second video. Just try to do that. Just get in the motion of doing and seeing how, like, give yourself, 7 days or whatever it is of constantly doing that. And you're going to see how much progress, how much easier, and how much growth you'll make just by doing it, just by doing the thing. And it's not going to be perfect. The next one is setting realistic goals. So this is one that I have struggled with many, many times in many different areas of my life. Don't set goals that aren't attainable. You break them down into smaller goals and you want them to be, you want them to be measurable, manageable, but those measurable things, make sure they're realistic, right? So, if you're just starting something out and you want to make such and such dollars, if you're brand new to this, maybe your such and such dollars needs to be a lot less. Just set realistic goals. So then when it's not perfect, you can, be flexible and, reassess and change some things. Give yourself some grace. That's another thing. You chill out on yourself, right? Be kind to yourself. We're not perfect. We need to get through. Nothing's perfect. We aren't perfect. It's not, everything's not going to go perfect, especially those things, I'm going to bring it up again, that aren't in your control. I think control and perfectionism go hand in hand in a lot of ways, because it does in my life. And those things that we can't control, they're not going to be perfect. There's no way they can be, right? Challenge your negative thoughts. This is a hard one. This is a really hard one. It's something that I do struggle with. The all or nothing, it's got to be this or it's nothing, right? Like criticizing yourself. Again, give yourself some grace and watch the way you're talking, like even out loud. There's sometimes when the kids will say something and I'll say, don't say that. Like we have one kid that really likes to save money, does not want to spend it on anything. And the other kid that is more free and wants to enjoy all the things. And so the one kid that wants to save money will say, we'll do something smart with the money. And then they'll say, oh, I spent, let's just say $100. I spent $100. And I'll say, no, now watch what you're saying. You didn't spend $100. You invested $100. So it's just even that, like the words that are coming out of your mouth, watch what you're saying about everything, because it does make a difference. When you say you spent the money, that's totally different than I invested that money. It's a totally different vibe, right? So we just got to watch what we're saying and our thoughts at all times. Embrace being vulnerable. It's okay. And like I said, doing what I'm doing and what I do and helping others do it has really helped me with a lot of these things. Like I said earlier, you being real and you being raw, and it's so much more relatable. And it's so much more, it's not perfect. And it just lets other people know, yeah, you know what? My life is the same way. She's not perfect. Like, you know what I mean? It's show the messy house. Or talk about the messy house, or talk about the crazy schedule, or talk about the missed appointment, right? Like talk about the crazy. It's okay. It's okay. Everybody else is dealing with the same thing, but just be open to it. Embrace it. You definitely will be more relatable personally. If you're trying to grow a business online, whatever it is, it's just definitely more relatable. And then again, focus on the process. Like I say, every journey, no matter what it is, if you're trying to organize your whole home, you're trying to entertain a crowd this weekend, or you're trying to build a business, enjoy the process. Focus on the process. Don't fixate on just the end result and if it's perfect. Enjoy the journey. So the benefits of embracing imperfection, I'm just going to go through these quickly. Increase creativity. So true, so true, so true in what I do. Improved mental health. Again, that is so true. Greater satisfaction and stronger relationships. So like I said, perfectionism, it's not even a thing. I don't know why we strive for it. Being flawed, imperfect, and wonderfully like just unique in you, that's real. That's what real life is. Real life and real jobs and real, careers and what you're trying to build or not build, or your home, they're flawed. They're imperfect. Nothing's perfect. This was a podcast for me. It's a good little refresher and reminder of what is and what isn't and what we should be striving for. If this is something you deal with, I would love to hear from you. Lindsay@mycreativedays.com. Reach out to me on Instagram at mycreativedays. If you think this podcast would be helpful to somebody, share it with them. I always appreciate when you share the podcast. And if there is an episode or a topic you'd like me to talk about, or maybe it's a question you have about anything, I share or I've talked about before, please email me, reach out to me on Instagram. I love those. They are my favorite podcasts to record. I never share your name, but I always, when you let me know exactly what you need, I get excited to record those podcasts. So keep those coming in as well. So until next time, I hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you very soon. Hello, friends. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I'm grateful that you tune in every week and that you share the show with your family and friends. I love having creative chit chats with you, and my hope is that this podcast will inspire you to try a new project, start a DIY that you've been putting off, and decorate your home exactly how you want it. There are a few ways you can help us with the podcast. Follow the podcast so you don't miss an episode. And if you could take a few minutes to leave the podcast a review, that would help us so much. Again, thank you for being here, and I look forward to our chat next week. Bye-bye.